This is going to take us through the lesson 13-4, paying withholding and payroll taxes. So this is the PowerPoint that goes with the lesson that's in Google Classroom. And a couple of new terms here. The main one is a deposit, which is the payment of payroll taxes to the government. And it gives us a chart. We don't really have to know too much about this chart, about yes and no, when do we have to pay, what do we have to pay, the date that has to be paid, etc. There's really only 3 transactions that we're going to learn in here. The first one is going to be something like this: paid cash for a liability for the employee income tax, the Social Security tax, and the Medicare tax. So when it says paid cash, we know it goes in the cash payments journal. Over here it shows the T accounts for those different numbers and where the amounts came from. And then down below is how this would be how it would look in the journal once we journalized it. So remember that the employee income tax is the federal, the check number, whatever given, is in the check number column, and all of these are in the general debit. So the federal or employee income tax amount given in the description in the transaction, the Social Security tax payable, and the Medicare tax payable are all going to be general debits, and then the total amount, adding up those 3, would be in the cash credit, which is also usually given in the transaction here, spelled out for you. But if not, you would just add those 3 to get that amount. So that's the first transaction. Then we learned about the federal and the state unemployment tax. And down below, it gives us the transaction paid cash for the federal unemployment tax and the amount. And this is what it would look like in the T accounts. And then down below in the cash payments journal, this is a 1-line transaction. So unemployment tax payable dash federal, the check number, 1 general debit, and 1 cash credit for the amount given in the transaction. Same thing now for the state, paid the state unemployment. So again, we're just recording in our journal the amounts that we had to actually send into the state and federal government for these taxes that we withheld from our employees and from our payroll. So the state one would be unemployment tax payable state, check number, amount given in the transaction, general debit, and cash credit. So this is the working papers 13-4 work together problem that's in the Applia. So it gives us in here our payroll data. It gives us our federal income tax withheld amount, the Social Security amount, and the Medicare amount. It gives us our tax account credit balances for the unemployment tax for the federal and the unemployment tax for the state. It also gives us the chart of accounts if we need to remember the name of our company that we're working with is Tesla Electric, and so forth, with all the different accounts and their account numbers. So in our instructions, using the payroll data of March 31st, we're going to prepare a journal entry for payment of the withheld taxes. Tesla Electric is a monthly scheduled depositor. So we're going to journalize check 495 on the cash payments journal of page 14 using the date that the taxes are due to the federal government. Use the tax account credit balances to prepare the journal entries for the federal unemployment and the state unemployment tax liabilities. Assume both checks were prepared on the due date for the federal tax deposits. And we should remember that the dates are always the 15th of April for the first transaction, and then the unemployment one is always the end of the month, which is the 30th for April. Okay, so back to the instructions. For the first one, we're going to be journalizing the payment of the taxes withheld. So up here, payroll that ended on March 31st, we're going to be paying these on April 15th. So they give us the information. The federal is the 1320, and then we have employee Social Security tax of $1,331.76. So this amount here needs to be doubled because remember it's employer and employee. Employee Medicare tax withheld $311.46 also needs to be doubled because this is employer and employee. The federal or the employee income tax is only the single amount given. So down below here is the first transaction for April 15th. I filled in the amounts so you don't have to, or the numbers, sorry, the words, the account title, so you don't have to watch me type. but here they are. So employee income tax payable, the check number given is $495 right here in the instructions, and these are all going to go in the general debit. So the amount given for the federal or employee income tax payable was $1320. The Social Security tax payable, remember we have to double. So we're going to take this $1331.76 and double that, and we're going to get 2663.52. And we're also going to double the Medicare tax withheld, which is the $311.46, and that would equal then $622.92. Once we have those three numbers, then we can total them up to get the total cash, which then would equal $4,606.44. So federal, Social Security, Medicare, add those three numbers to get your cash payment. The next two transactions is part 2 in the instructions. Using the tax account credit balances, prepare the journal entries for the federal unemployment and the state unemployment. So for these, all we have to do is click on the tax account credit balances, and we see the amounts listed right here. Remember, the balances were as of March 31st. We pay these at the end of the following month, which would be then April 30th. So I filled in the account names again here for us. So the first one is the unemployment tax payable federal. They give us the check numbers here, 522 and 523, which I put in. And this is going to be one general debit and one cash credit for the amount that was given. So this is easy. You just look up above. The first one was 515, or I'm sorry, yeah, 515.52. 515.52. The second one given for the state, 1159.92. 5.92. All right, and just double check the numbers, making sure I didn't make any mistakes typing them in, but look up above so you know where the numbers came from instead of just copying it right from here. So those are the only 3 transactions we do for 13-4. This concludes the work together problem. Go ahead and finish that and move on to the on your own problem.